What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some of Stefon Diggs' best route running from a course of over the last few years. We're going to be talking about how you guys can run a post route versus an inside shade off-man coverage DB. Then we're going to be talking about how you guys can run a hitch route versus press. Then how you guys can fully commit to make your breaks more sudden when you're running a double or a triple move route. Okay, so I hope this video helps you guys out, gives you some value, and teaches you a few new things about route running. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to know the specific drills that you need to do for route running, broken down to a step-by-step daily training schedule, check out that very first link in the description below for our 28-day on-field wide receiver workout plan. So what it is, it's a daily schedule for 4 weeks where we give you all the drills wide receivers need to do improve their route running, press releases, hands, explosiveness, broken down with sets, repetitions, and we include a 30-minute instructional video breaking down each exercise. So check out that very first link below if you want some more information on that plan that we offer. Let's get started. So first route we're looking at here is a post route versus an inside shade DB. This is a perfect example of what to do in a live game situation, not just a one-on-one route situation, right? So if you guys, a lot of guys have this mistake, and I know a lot of people ask this question about if I have an inside shade DB and I have an inside breaking route like a post and the DB's maybe 5 to 6 yards off, how do I approach this thing? What do I do? And the common answer that I always get when I ask people is like, oh, you want to attack his leverage, you want to square him up. That's not the correct answer. If you were to have an outside breaking route, then yes, maybe you'd want to square him up. But Diggs understands the principle that our goal always when we have an inside breaking route, or if it was outside leverage and you have an outside breaking route, the goal is to get him to turn his hips, right? Because he's inside shade for a reason. He's inside shade because he wants to protect the inside. So if he's inside leverage and I attack his leverage and I try to attack that midline, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to keep his leverage to the inside. So we're going to square him up. He's going to keep his leverage. Then you're going to run the post right into him. So you have to force that hip turn. So Diggs does such a great job of coming off the line, and he goes as hard as he can at the outside shoulder of this DB, trying to get him to slip over the top so we could slip back underneath and create some separation on this post. So how do we exactly do that? You got to make sure that we're in full stride, right? You got to make sure your eyes are there, and you got to make sure that your hips and your shoulders are all committed to this outside move. Trying to sell like I'm just trying to run right by, maybe set up an out route, a corner route, whatever it is. But I got to make sure that I attack that outside shoulder because the goal of this is to be able to get his hips to turn. And when I could get that DB's hip to turn because my shoulders, my hips, my speed, everything is saying that I'm going outside, that's when I can create some separation. So I think that's what makes Diggs such a great route runner. And what you guys can learn from him is that he understands the IQ behind the position, right? He understands that, okay, I need to move here to get this DB to move here. I can't just go out there and just ad-lib as I go. I got to have a plan going into this thing. If I see this coverage and I have this route, this is what I'm going to do, because ultimately the goal is to play fast, not to think on the fly and not to overthink it, right? You guys shouldn't misunderstand what I'm saying. He's not thinking about all this, but this is stuff that you have to think about in the offseason while you're building to get ready for a game, so it's automated. So when you get on the field, it's like, okay, I've seen that before. I know what I got to do. And it's fast. You can play fast because a receiver who plays fast is a dangerous receiver. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Diggs attacking that outside shoulder, breaking this thing off, and make sure, fellas, when we do that kind of a route, we accelerate and we try to win the race to the ball. Now we're going to be looking at this route here from Diggs where he's running a hitch route against press coverage, okay? So this is another question that we get asked a lot, and it's more of like a catch technique coverage because Diggs is off the ball, I would assume. So what do I have to do in this case? It's no different than what we were just talking about with the post, right? Because a hitch route, you're catching this thing on the inside, right? It's not like a curl. You're not coming back to the ball. The quarterback should have this thing out, so we should just be able to catch it, bam, right at 5 yards or 6 yards, wherever the depth is, right? So my goal should be what? I want to attack this outside shoulder to get his hips to turn and think what? I want him to think fade. So again, Diggs understands this principle, and he's so smart with the way he runs routes. But anytime that I have a DB who's in this like kind of catch technique, what a lot of receivers will do is they'll just take off to the outside. They won't give him anything right here to force this DB to stay honest. So Diggs, what he does is he comes off and he kind of attacks his leverage, closes the space with him to get that DB on his heels, maybe get him to keep his leverage a little bit. If you want to attack his leverage on something like this, that's fine. But understand that because it's a hitch route, because it's a quick route, we can't take too much time with this thing, right? So that's another thing that receivers don't understand. But Diggs does off the line. You never see him doing all of this fancy like footwork release where he takes forever, throws a move, then gets up into the route, because the name of the game is keeping timing with the quarterback. If you're a wide receiver and you're going up against press coverage or a guy who likes to jam, his goal is to disrupt timing with the quarterback. That's the whole reason why he's jamming. So as a wide receiver, I got to make sure that I don't let him win. I got to make sure I have an efficient move off the line depending on the read of the play. Now, let's say Diggs was running a slant, but he was like backside, right? And the quarterback was maybe going like, maybe it's out of like trips or whatever, and he was reading like a scissors concept and he was coming back down to the slant. That's when you could take maybe a little bit longer with the release. But because he's running a hitch route you never throw late as a quarterback. No quarterback's ever going to go, okay, that's not there. Let me come back to the hitch on the other side of the field because it's going to get picked off because it's too late. So we understand that on a hitch route, I have to go with something quick off the line. So now, What makes him a great route runner on this is that you see how hard he's pushing to the outside. That's what makes that DB believe, okay, he's running a fade. That same release that he does, that's the same release that you see guys like Devontae Adams do, Keenan Allen do, and Stefon Diggs when they're running an actual fade route. They'll close the distance with this guy, change the tempo, then burst up to the outside. How you become unguardable, how you become a great receiver is you make all of your routes look the exact same. And that's what Diggs does, right? Because very easily this could be a fade. Very easily he closes the space, takes off, changes up the speed, gets that DB's feet to stop. Now let's burst to the outside and let's get him to run, right? That's what we have to understand as a wide receiver. I need to make everything look the same, make your routes look similar. So when we get DB to commit, it's easy work. You just swat him by, and when he doesn't have hands on you, and I can put the brakes on a dime because I'm dropping my hips violently, I could get some space, make this catch, and then go make a play with the ball in my hand. That's a great job there by Diggs. Watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Close the space, get him to think vertical, swat him by, and let's make a play on this ball. Great overall route there by Diggs. Now we're going to be talking about this like kind of post-corner post, or some people call it a Dino route, right? So when we're coming off here, the main thing I want to emphasize on this is a lot of people say about Diggs when he runs his routes, he's so sudden with what he does. He's so sudden with his movement, whether he's dropping into a break, whether he's making a hard cut to the out or the in, whatever it is. But whenever he makes his cuts, he's very sudden, right? And that's what it takes to be a great route runner. To be a great route runner, you have to be sudden with your feet. You have to have sudden breaks, because when you have these long, exaggerated breaks, my least favorite thing in the world is when a receiver's got to run like a post and that speed cut is super exaggerated. They're reaching out, they lean back with their pad level, and they don't have any explosion. You got to make sure that we're sudden, but how exactly are you sudden into a break? A lot of it has to do with like a mind-body connection, right? So when Diggs is running this post route here, you see how to the last second he's committed to the post. The post cut right there with his right leg is what changes direction for him. He doesn't start to round it off too early. He doesn't start to get his eyes to the inside. He's letting that cut be the thing that changes direction for him. So he's keeping, ergo, he's got full stride and he's keeping his hips and his shoulders committed to the break as long as possible. That's what we have to be able to do. Shoulders and hips stay committed to the break. Bam, I pop this thing off right in stride. Now, you see the same thing when you get to the post. What's committed to it? Hips and shoulders. He doesn't start to round it early because he's breaking back to the corner to get that DB to jump. He's fully committed to the break. Bam, and he lets that cut be the thing that changes direction for him. So if you're a receiver and you struggle with being sudden, you struggle with having explosion at the top of your routes, cutting on a dime, check yourself. Maybe you're starting to round the route a little bit too early. Maybe you're starting to turn your shoulders and your hips inside, and then you're making a cut, which takes away all the explosion because your body's already going down the third phase of the route, which is the acceleration phase. So something that you guys can do as a wide receiver, like let's say make it very basic. You're running a post route. Maybe you're breaking the post route off your third outside step. Try to keep your eyes directly forward until you hit the third outside step, because if you start to drift your eyes inside, chances are your body starts to drift inside. And a lot of times that's the mistake for receivers. They're thinking about the catch too much, and you obviously do want to think about the catch, but when it comes to route running, you have to stay committed to the last possible second, right? And then you see same thing Diggs when he breaks back to the corner one more time. His hips and his shoulders are fully committed. This DB's not even looking at him, but he still commits to the break, because when you commit to the break, that speed, that body language, that DB can feel that. He's going off of feel when he decides to make that turn, and that can create me a ton of separation. That's a great route there by Diggs. Watch the thing again, full speed one more time. That's what makes him such a sudden route runner, is his ability to be able to commit to the break and use that cut to get him out of the route. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I always appreciate the feedback. I always appreciate the things you guys have to say. Helps me come up with new ideas for the channel, so I 100% appreciate it. Very appreciative of you guys watching all these videos. And again, fellas, if you want a 4-week-long on-field wide receiver workout schedule, everything wide receivers need to do on the field to improve their game, check out that very first link in the description. One of the best things we have on our site. I'll see you guys next time.